Go ahead and call to order this regular business meeting of the Council Bluffs Community School District Board of Directors. Mr. Wilson, please call the roll.
Mr. Tripp?
Here.
Mr. Peters?
Here.
Ms. Myers?
Here.
Ms. Shudek?
Here.
Mr. Arthur?
Here.
Mr. Kazire? Present. Mr. LaFurla?
Present. Next, please join me in a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next, we have a motion to approve our agenda. Is there a motion?
Move approve our agenda as presented.
Thank you. Is there a second? Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And the agenda has been approved. And next, we have approval of the minutes from the workshop meeting of May 10th, 2022. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve the workshop meeting minutes of May 10th.
Thank you. Second?
Second?
Any discussion on the minutes? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Same sign. And the minutes have been carried. Next up is public participation. This is an opportunity for members of the public to address the board regarding agenda items or other matters of concern. And we did have one individual request to speak to the board tonight. Mrs. Masker, are you here?
First of all, as most of you know, my name is Deb Masker, and I have had several positions in Council Bluffs schools over my 22 years. For 15 years, I was the vocal music director. I was an instructional coach for 5 years. Last year, I was a social studies teacher, and this year, I am the IB coordinator at Kern. Last spring, I was approached to fill that position, and after much deliberation, decided that it would be a good challenge for me and it would be of benefit to my school. I'm completing my 44th year in education, and this is the first time that I have ever felt compelled to come before a board and express a concern. So tonight, one of my IB characteristics of the learner profile is that I'm exhibiting being a risk taker. These remarks are my own and are not about my position as an IB coordinator because I could retire. I am choosing to publicly share some thoughts after Dr. Morello came and spoke to both staffs on May 16th about the future of IB at our middle schools. IB is an expensive proposition. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of hard work by our staff, which we have done. I understand the comment that it's difficult to continue IB at our middle schools when we only have one feeder school in each end that directly come into our school with students who have experienced IB. Dr. Murillo stated that we were going to put IB on hold until October, where we can assess where we are with IB and what direction to take. She also stated that there would be some kind of study taking place in October of 2022. And according to IB, both Wilson and Kern would need to do a self-study next year as part of the IB's expectations. I would like to acknowledge the hard work of Erin Eckholt and Sarah Seelock, who worked tirelessly from 2017 forward to develop units of study for each of our courses at the middle school, which include statements of inquiry, global context, key and related concepts, as well as approaches to learning statements, which we focused on this year. Erin has chosen to return to the classroom because she was unsure of the direction of IB and wanted to have a choice in a teaching position. And I applaud her for that and honor it, and I'm going to miss her terribly as someone to work with. I would like to spend a few minutes and talk about where Kern is at in the IB process. I can only speak from that perspective because I am not Erin. On May 6th, I was approached by my principal to consider being the IB coordinator at both schools, and I said no. It was a task that would not be humanly possible to accomplish. And when I do something, I do it right, and I do it with fidelity. On May 16th, I found out at the staff meetings that I would be at both schools. And that was a surprise to me. One of my concerns about, I have my timer on. My concerns about the possibility of IB going away is that we were authorized in January of 2020 when we went into COVID lockdown. Last year was one for the history books, and this year has had its challenges as well as far as putting everything into place. So tonight I'm using the IB learner profiles as the outline for my remarks because I'm caring. I am speaking from my heart because I support the IB philosophy and how it would continue to raise the rigor and relevance for our students. The global context in which lessons are presented in our buildings allow our students to understand how our world is a challenging place to live and be. The next trait is inquirer. Dr. Murillo shared with us the amount, I hope this is correct, of $680,000 that's the cost of IB. I'm not sure if that includes all 4 schools, just the 2 middle schools. You have to excuse me, I digress. I'm a farmer's wife, so I look at input costs versus output. And we figure cost per acre, and so I'm trying to figure out cost per student. My emails requesting information were acknowledged, but not answered at this point. So I'm trying to figure out just what is the cost per student. My next learner profile is knowledgeable. Dr. Murillo discussed how she felt that maybe we didn't have as great an IB identity at the middle schools as there are at the elementary schools. Well, I beg to disagree because I've been the person in charge of developing that all year. We've had displays in our hallways, we have learner profiles at the door when you come in, and that made me wonder where I missed the mark.
Deb, that's 5 minutes.
I'm sorry, what? Go ahead. Okay. She also addressed how the Carter Lake Optimists acknowledged the students who exhibited the learner profile traits, which is wonderful. We do that too. Every week we honor students who exhibit the IB learner profile traits with positives, and we also honor our students once a month at a luncheon for those students who represent those traits. I'm also exhibiting the IB characteristic of being a communicator tonight. I think it's important that we share information as decisions are being made. My dad taught me that you do not have the right to complain and not be a part of the solution. He also taught me to stand up for what I believe in with facts and figures and not to present things emotionally. That's hard for me to do right now. I really wish that somebody had taken the time to sit down with Aaron and I to hear our perspective. I think an honest conversation about where we're going would be a great thing to do. I'm also a thinker. I want to know why. I do not shy away from challenging questions, and I'm not shying away from this complex problem of figuring out where to go with IB. I'm principled. I'm acting tonight with integrity and honesty, with a strong sense of fairness, justice, and respect. It's hard to put units of study in place in some curriculum areas when you are told to back off, not now, or read between the lines. Not sure why those things were said. One of my hopes is that we set some goals for next year, set some benchmarks where we can measure our progress to show our growth so that we can determine whether this is where we're going. I'm a reflective person. I've given thoughtful consideration to my own learning and my experience. I've spent a great deal of time this year reflecting on my role as the IB coordinator at Kern and what steps we should take as a school. I would not have reinvented myself again as an educator if I did not believe in the program. Our community showcase was an amazing success on May 4th. I wish that more of you could have attended to watch our student academic success. It was great. I'm being balanced tonight because I try to keep a balanced perspective, my twist on the profile. I want to hear both sides of discussions and understand. To me, being balanced in this conversation is crucial. So once again tonight, I am being a risk taker. I am communicating to you as one who believes in IB and its place in our middle schools. So before we put IB on hold and see where we're at in October, let us have an open-minded discussion using information that we have, because we are inquirers as we make reflective and balanced decisions. Thank you.
Thank you, Deb. Next on the agenda is the Superintendent's Report. Dr. Murillo?
Thank you, Mr. LaFurla. At this time, I'd like to invite Ms. Ostrowski to the podium. Tonight, we are celebrating some students and staff members, correct?
We are.
Okay, great.
It's another big night of recognition. So I'm pleased to just jump right into our recognition of our student standouts. And first, we have two students who have achieved a great accomplishment in DECA. We are pleased to celebrate the accomplishments of these two students who earned honors at the DECA State Career Development Conference and qualified for the national conference held last month. That's why we didn't honor them last month. They were at the national conference. These two outstanding young ladies competed last month in the international conference, as I said. They're supported here tonight by Abraham Lincoln High School DECA sponsor Joe Eitenayer. Go ahead and wave. And we will just call up our two recipients. Please come forward and receive your award from Dr. Murillo. We have Guadalupe Ramirez. And Kaylee Wollstonecraft. And they both competed in and earned first place at the state competition in integrated marketing campaign. So we'll have to call on them. There you go. And Kaylee, did you graduate as well? No. Okay, next year, but Guadalupe graduated and spoke at her high school commencement. Yes, congratulations. We are also pleased tonight to have the opportunity to recognize 5 Kern Middle and Abraham Lincoln High School students who are among the elite group to earn honors at the State History Day competition under the direction of Mrs. Deb Masker, who we just heard from. Because of this success, 2 of them will represent Kern and our school community at the virtual National History Day competition in June. First, we have Anna Newby and new graduate sister Emily Newby from AL, who received Outstanding Women's History Award for their group documentary project, Pinning Down Diplomacy, inside Madeleine Albright's diplomatic jewelry box. Sounds intriguing. That's okay. You could switch. You could switch. Okay, we have more. So, ladies, will you stay up here with us? Thank you. Yeah. Next, we have Leela Good from Kern. She received the Outstanding Military History Award for her individual documentary, Be Silent, Go Public. Leela? Let's do one great big picture. And then individual ones after, out by the banner in the hallway, okay? Meredith Strubing from AL she qualified for the National History Day contest with her paper, Speak No German, The Babel Proclamation. And finally, Kaya Schleifman from Kern also qualified for the National History Day with her individual documentary, Debating Desegregation, Crisis in Little Rock. All right. Congratulations to you all and your parents, who I'm sure played a supporting role in Mrs. Masker. Okay. Yes, congratulations. We look forward to hearing how the national conference goes. All right. 15 cadets participated in the all-service JROTC National High School Drill Meet in Daytona Beach, Florida in April, and they brought home outstanding honors, including get this, a national championship in the unarmed division with 27 teams of like size from around the nation. Congratulations. On top of that, they also received 4th place in inspection, 4th place in exhibition, 1st place in regulation, and 1st place in color guard. The drill team includes 6 seniors that will truly be missed. We want to first celebrate them and their leadership. We'll start with our national 1st place drill commander, Cadet Eliza Fries. And Cadet, we'll have you stay up here for a group photo. Other 2022 graduates include Megan Wilson, Hannah Levi, who could not be with us this evening, Grace Conant, Ashton Saunders, Camilla Hargens, and the following students are also part of this national championship team: underclassman Garrett Foster, Dara Pitch, Dalton Bunton. No, Dalton McCormick. I mixed 2 of you together. Dalton McCormick. Natalie Bobson, who is not able to join us this evening. Joseph Hibbert. Is this, oh, wait.
Did you get Jacqueline?
I said, did I say that? Oh, and then my apologies. Yep. That's Jacqueline Bunton. Joseph Hibbert, thank you. Sorry about that, Jacqueline. Bella Hirsch Rollins. Cassandra. Kaylee Coffey. And one more, Casey Wohlers, who could not join us this evening. Round of applause for these national champions. And as they're gathering for a photo, they are supported here tonight by their instructor, Lieutenant Colonel Kevin Bush, and Master Sergeant Jeff Lane. Congratulations to all of you. Don't be shy if you want to come up and take pictures. You don't have to look. There, that's great. Yeah. Yes, congratulations. Next, I'd like to introduce Dr. Corey Vorthman, who's going to recognize a few students who were unable to join us for our Iowa Western credential ceremony last month.
Thank you, Diane. Appreciate that. This time, it's my pleasure tonight to honor a couple of additional graduates that we had were unable to be here due to orchestra commitments at our last board meeting. But we certainly want to take an opportunity to celebrate their accomplishments tonight as graduates of Iowa Western Community College before they walked across the stage last Saturday morning. So tonight, we have two students who participated in our certificate advancement program at Iowa Western. What makes these two individuals unique is they are among the first two students to graduate from our brand new computer science pathway this year. And they actually started this pathway a year late as seniors rather than juniors, and did some remarkable work and were able to earn their certificate in just 1 year. A lot of that credit goes to obviously the students themselves and their instructors who were willing to take some risks and start this new program kind of full steam ahead. So they're joined tonight by instructor Denise Hogue at Thomas Jefferson High School. Our first student is Evan Garton. Evan earned a web design and coding certificate, and next year will be attending Iowa Western Community College to continue his computer science degree. And our second student tonight is Mason McCready Sprinkle. Mason earned his computer programming certificate, and next year will be attending Iowa Western Community College, studying computer science. Congratulations.
We're checking on one other award, whether we're giving that. But first, what I'd like to do now is introduce to you our Employees of the Year. First, we're going to recognize, and I would like to say we really thank the Council Bluffs Schools Foundation for their partnership on student and staff recognition. It's so valuable to have their support to fund our awards and to pay special attention to those who are really representing us well and doing their best work, just like everyone else in our school community. Dr. Worthman, are we doing that later? Okay. All right. We're going to do our Support Staff Member of the Year. Judy McClellan from Thomas Jefferson High School, would you join us up front? I'd like to share with you a little bit about Judy. Come on up here so we can see you. Judy sees each student's possibilities and not their disabilities and is always encouraging her students. She strives to build relationships with students and learns the strengths of each one as well as learning about all of their interests. Judy has used her decades of experience to benefit students in the ELP program to make them as independent as possible and prepare them to transition from high school to adulthood. Recently, Judy has helped introduce the ELP students to the TradeWorks program, where they are learning daily living skills such as using a saw and a hammer. Judy also takes the lead to assist nonverbal students in how to utilize technology for daily communications and work. In Judy's own time, she's currently taking sign language. This is so she can better assist students. She also uses her own time and goes and supports all of the TJ students attending after-school programs, sports, drama, and music. Judy is an integral part of the Helping Hive food program at TJ and organizes a pantry, purchases items, all for the TJ students. She's truly here for the kids and families and makes a positive impact every day. Congratulations, Judy. As part of the honors and recognition for our Employees of the Year, the foundation sponsors not only this beautiful trophy, but a $500 check. Just in case you forget to open it, you might want to put it somewhere safe. Okay. Our licensed staff member of the month is Mr. Dan Black from Kern Middle School and Abraham Lincoln High School. I'm going to read a little bit about Mr. Black. Mr. Black is the orchestra educator and host to Inspired Learners at Kern Middle and Abraham Lincoln High School. He has been with the Council Bluffs Schools for 5 years and an educator for 14. Mr. Black's ability to develop positive and productive relationships with students is one of his greatest strengths. His classroom environment is one of mutual respect and trust. Another one of Mr. Black's assets is his ability to engage students in the content. He frequently models his thinking for students, which helps to make learning more accessible. He even created the Parent Orchestra event, which welcomes parents of 6th grade orchestra students into the classroom, honors their commitment to their child's music education, and connects them to the learning by having the students teach the parents how to play the instrument. Students are at the center of his work and celebration, and it's obvious that Mr. Black genuinely cares. He's passionate about his content and is highly skilled as an educator. He believes in the power of collaboration and makes the most of every occasion to work with his fellow teachers and professional communities to help children succeed. He developed new connections between the Lynx Orchestra program and the Omaha Symphony Music Mentors program, the Omaha Area Youth Orchestra, and the University of Nebraska-Lincoln Music faculty. Additionally, he has been a proud ambassador for Council Bluffs, presenting his work far and wide at multiple conferences, most notably for the Iowa Music Educators Association and at the National Modern Band Summit. He has also presented nationally on and published a 2021 article for the School Band and Orchestra magazine about creating a record label to showcase student work for Little Kids Rock. Through Mr. Black's caring personality, skillful relationship building, and expanding promotion of the orchestra program, his classes are growing and the enrollment in the district orchestra program is at an all-time high. In fact, in the string program at Kern and AL, they will be reaching more than 100 more students per day than when he started 5 years ago. The growth of his program is a representation of his dedication to the Council Bluffs Community School District's mission to achieve more. Congratulations, Mr. Black. Move too quickly. Thank you. Finally, our Principal of the Year, Mrs. Brittany Hetrick. Will you please join Dr. Murillo? I'm going to share a little bit about her nomination. Mrs. Hedrick is a caring educator who places students at the center of her work. She is one who often shares her knowledge during professional development meetings and listens to others for growth opportunities. She is well respected by peers and her opinion is trusted by many. Brittany is in her 7th year as an elementary principal, and she is in her 1st year at a new school. Under Brittany's leadership around hiring, teacher development, distributed leadership, and feedback, there is a positive impact on student achievement. When challenges arise, Brittany always approaches the situation with a calm demeanor and a solution-oriented mindset. She thinks strategically, which allows her to develop and execute school improvement plans with precision and focus. She has created a strong school climate and jumps at every opportunity to assist staff members or students. She truly leads by example and is the epitome of a leader who has high expectations for herself and others and will provide a high level of support to ensure the success of all stakeholders in her school community. Congratulations, Brittany. Could I please invite Evan and Mason to the podium? I neglected to share another special part of why they're here tonight, so my apologies. Come on up, gentlemen. They recently competed in the Iowa Technology Student Association conference and received 2nd place in Webmaster category, which is what you got your degree in, right? Somewhat, yes. And this is the other important part, like tonight, they are nationally qualified to compete at the higher level. So congratulations. Mrs. Hogue, would you join the gentleman up front, please? She's trying to sneak away and I wouldn't let her. You did. Yes, yes, yes. Yes. Well, we're going to do the best. So Doug Schmidt from Schmidt Music is here tonight to present the National Association of Music Merchants Award to district music educators and leaders to celebrate our honor, again, as one of the best communities for music education in 2022. Fine Arts Curriculum Specialist Michaela Hill will assist in this presentation.
Well, I didn't know this, but I didn't know that Dan Black was going to win your Teacher of the Year, but evidently my computer printer knew that, and so we've got 2 additional certificates with your name on them, so you can bring them home and put it on the refrigerator if you want to. But I was going to ask Mikey when I got down here, why did you have so many of his names on this? That anyway, it was kind of funny. Okay, my name is Doug Schmidt, and I'm one of the 4th generation owners of Schmidt Music. And I'm here today to help celebrate the fine work that keeps happening in your music department every day. I'd like to thank Visual and Performing Arts Curriculum Specialist Mikey Hill, Superintendent Dr. Vicky Murillo, along with all our friends from Council Bluffs School District, from all your friends at Schmidt Music, including our local Omaha manager, Lisa Shelton. Where are you, Lisa? Wave. My brother Tom and me, who represent our 4th generation, and now we have 2 of our sons in the business, Pete and Ted, who represent our 5th generation that dates back to 1896. So that means at Schmidt Music we celebrated our 125th anniversary last November 16. We're very proud of that. We are in the music products industry, which includes instrument companies, publishers, retailers, and everyone else involved in helping you be able to teach your students the fine art of music. Our music products industry has a trade association called the National Association of Music Merchants, or just NAM, which was established in 1901. NAM is the association that strengthens our $17 billion global music products industry. In 1998, NAM established their Best Communities for Music Education Award. Today we are celebrating your 2022 Best Community for Music Education Award. This represents your 3rd win in a row. Bravo. And thank you for keeping this tradition rolling. That's really cool. In 2022, the 24th year of BCME, the program celebrates and recognizes innovative and resourceful music education programs in the United States and those schools and communities that support them. In order to apply for this award, Mikey had to complete a 54-page survey that covers pretty much every aspect of your music education program. This survey was developed in partnership with the Music Research Institute at the University of Kansas. Survey questions are aligned with goals for equity and access to music education for all students, and with the national standards for music education. In 2022, just 738 districts earned this prestigious national award. This places your Council Bluffs Music Department in the top 5% of the nation's 14,000 school districts. Bravo. Mikey and I worked together to get your awards printed, framed, and delivered to everyone we could think of who was instrumental, pun intended, in making your music department so excellent. If for any reason we may have missed someone or made a spelling mistake, please alert Mikey, and she can contact me so I can make those corrections and get new awards out to you ASAP. So now we are going to go through and present the awards, and we're going to do the school board as one lump to help save you some time. And then we're going to have the music teachers come up, and after we present you with your award, we're going to have you slide behind the school board so we can snap a picture with all of you and we can move on. Does that make sense? Okay. So how do you want to do it?
You name them and I'll hand them out.
All right.
Does that sound
All right. I hope you don't have any trick names in here.
I'll help you.
Okay, Brenda Copeland. Darla Sullivan. Krista Johnson. I think what we'll do is we'll have everybody go in behind the school board, because I'd love to get that logo in the picture too, because NAM loves to get those pictures, so thank you. Dan Black, come on up. Okay. Taylor Matuszewski. Did I say it right? Is that close? Good. Laura Nelson. Travis Walker. Dustin Dieterding. What are you gonna say? Deb Masker. Amanda Jens. And Dr. Oh, now we got the school board. And is that it?
The executive cabinet.
Are we doing them together?
Just the teaching.
Okay, are we done with the name announcements?
I think so, yeah.
All right, all right. So you've got the camera? Sweet, all right. Picture, you can get on with your business.
Kelsey will be taking pictures out by the banner for you.
Well, that was fun. Thank you. And congratulations to all of our talented students and staff and employees of the year. We're very proud of all of you, and it's always a pleasure to celebrate all of you at our board meetings. Next up is the resolutions portion of our agenda. There are several this evening, starting with the first reading of policies. Is there a motion?
I can move to approve the first reading of policies as presented. 201, board function and operation goals. 202, board of directors powers, duties, and member authority. 208, gifts to the board of education members. 214, board of directors meetings. 218, agenda preparation. 220, board of directors records. 227, administration and absence of board of directors policy. 228, suspension of policies. 510, use of electronic surveillance and security equipment for students. 216, internet appropriate student use. 628, teaching about controversial issues. 634, student qualifications for senior year plus coursework as presented.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the policies? Mostly formatting changes and some language here and there. And this is just the first reading. We'll have a second reading. Mr. Wilson, please call the roll.
And I open up online voting here. Ms. Shudek?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mr. Tripp?
Yes.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Arthur?
Yes.
Mr. Kazire?
Yes.
Mr. LaFurla?
Yes, and the motion carries. Next up, we have approval of the Teachers on Call contract extension. Is there a motion?
I'll move it. The board approve the extension of the Teachers on Call contract as presented.
Thank you. Is there a second? We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this item?
Dr. Morello, can you just talk about the importance of why we moved to teachers on call and the fill rates, and why we believe as a district that we're ahead of the curve as far as other districts that we have this service available?
Yeah, Thank you, Ms. Judak. I've asked Mr. Milborn to join me. He really works very closely with the teachers on call and has a bird's eye view of the value and the return on the investment we have. So, Mr. Milborn?
Yeah, to start with, the sole purpose or the why was to have a dedicated arm of our human resources team, which we're contracted teachers on call, dedicated to substitutes. So recruiting, advertising, onboarding, training, those things. So our relationship and partnership with them has been very valuable. And that focus has allowed our department to do many things in our strategic plan with our HR goals and our recruiting and sourcing goals. And our fill rate has been really great this year, so we're excited about that as well. And I keep getting asked by other districts, how are you doing that? So that would be my 2 cents on the fill rate.
And Gary, when you talk about other districts, it's your monthly meeting with the UEN districts, the districts across the state of Iowa that are all struggling to find substitutes to fill those vacancies.
At one point, I kind of felt bad speaking up because some districts were saying, well, we're at 60% right now, we're at 50%, we're at 70%, and we're sitting here at 90 and 85 and 88. And so we're ahead of the curve, especially with our other UEN districts.
I appreciate the effort. I know that we talked about this earlier, that you put in, your staff puts in. This was a subject that I, went back and forth in. I know that there's a small population that was upset that they weren't earning IPERS, but when you balance it out with an high 80s, low 90s%, we're able to continue to keep the district moving forward in these turbulent times still, right? We're still coming out of a pandemic. I think that it's a good thing that we have in our pocket and that we're ahead of the game as far as other districts.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Cost savings, time savings, and we're filling spots that need filled. I don't see how you can go wrong with that.
Alleviating the burden of teachers in the building who have to cover periods, lose their planned periods, or, it's a great fill rate that's great for our kids, but also just alleviates a lot of burden off of the other teachers in the building. So thanks for your work on it. Any other questions or discussion? Mr. Wilson, please call the roll.
Mr. Tripp?
Yes.
Mr. Arthur?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Kazire?
Yes.
Ms. Shudek?
Yes.
And Mr. LaFurla?
Yes, and the contract extension has been approved. Next is approval of K-6 reading instructional materials. Is there a motion?
I can move the board approve the purchase of K through 6 reading instructional materials from McGraw-Hill as presented in the packet.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this item?
Dr. Merla, are we able to use ESSER dollars for this, or is this out of our, I don't see where it says.
This would be, Dr. Borthman, the ESSER dollars for the learning loss is direct contact.
Okay.
And so they are not approving all curriculum resources. Dr. Borthman?
Yeah, so this is part of our regular curriculum adoption cycle. We're actually butting up against a year where we're going to be out of subscriptions because we did a 3-year phased-in implementation of the original reading instructional materials. So when we buy them, we usually buy them on a 7-year cycle. And so we've negotiated with McGraw-Hill to give us an additional year for free of our current subscription, transition to the new copyright in the 23-24 school year. So this purchase will actually cut across 2 budget years, half of it coming out of the 22-23 and the other half in 23-24.
Is that the same with the next one then too, that we're going to cut? Thank you.
Yep, they're linked together.
Thank you. Any other questions? Mr. Wilson, please call the roll.
Mr. Arthur?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mr. Tripp?
Yes.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Ms. Shudek?
Yes.
Mr. Kazire?
Yes.
Mr. LaFurla?
Yes. And the motion carries. Next is approval of K-5 special education reading intervention instructional materials. Is there a motion?
Just likewise, I can say have the board approve the purchase of the instructional materials from McGraw-Hill for special education reading instruction.
I'll second that.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this item? Mr. Wilson, please call the roll.
Mr. Arthur?
Yes.
Mr. Tripp?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Ms. Shudak?
Yes.
Mr. Kazire?
Yes.
Mr. LaFurla?
Yes. And that motion carries. And now we have approval of a furniture bid. Is there a motion?
I move that the board accept the furniture bid from Omaha Interior Design as the lowest responsive and responsible bidder for the district furniture requirements for the next 3 years.
Second.
What was that?
No, it's three. The two is a typo. We updated that this afternoon.
Okay, so the motion is correct.
Yes.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
And so this is just locking in pricing during that time period? Is that what we're doing here? So it looked like?
Right. And Dean kind of oversees this and has worked with, but it was really important that we were butting up against when the last contract, and we wanted to rebid it and allow everyone to rebid. And then there is a criteria that Dean, Daryl, and some others set and go through to award the contract. So, Dean, anything else you'd like to?
No, the only thing I would say is that we just had a matrix of different things from, was the bid complete to the pricing to a number of other things, and that we did a rating, and OID came in and scored the best on that.
So later there'll be purchase agreements if there's,
That's correct.
when
Correct.
the purchases
They
come
do.
before the board.
I'm sorry, who seconded the motion?
Is that right?
Was it Dave?
I made the
Dave made
Oh,
the
you did.
Dave
motion.
made it, I second.
Okay.
Second, okay.
Can't remember.
Mr. Wilson, please call the roll.
Mr. Kazire?
Yes.
Mr. Arthur?
Yes.
Ms. Shudak?
Yes.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mr. Tripp?
Yes.
Mr. LaFurla?
Yes, and the motion has been approved. Next is middle school math camp and professional development. Is there a motion?
Move that the Board of Directors approves the contract with the Educational Solutions Northwest for professional development and instructional services as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Like a quick explanation of this one?
Yeah. Dr. Matthews, would you like to give the update? This is kind of your baby, and we're all excited about it, and it'll be nice to share the good news.
This was part of the original ESSER plan to provide opportunities for learning loss. So it is going to be a two-prong approach where we will have intense professional development for our middle school math teachers while also offering that opportunity for our middle school students to come in for 2 weeks over the summer and get a boost in their just math learning. And we are fully enrolled for that. So we're very excited about the opportunity.
My daughter's going to be disappointed. Any other questions or discussion?
And this ties directly to the next one for ongoing monthly support.
That is correct.
Okay. Mr. Wilson, please call the roll.
Ms. Shudak?
Yes.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mr. Tripp?
Yes.
Mr. Kazire?
Yes.
Mr. Arthur?
Yes.
Mr. LaFurla?
Yes, and the motion carries. And next is a related resolution regarding mathematics implementation and professional development consulting. Is there a motion?
I move that the Board of Directors approves the contracts with Educational Solutions Northwest for consulting services.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. And any discussion?
Is
Mr.
this
Wi-
a-
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Are we planning this just to be a one-year consultative or an ongoing?
It depends on where we are in the cycle. What we found, and Dr. Matthews, you can join me because it is something you've been working on. When we got into ELA and Wonders, one of the pieces that I felt like was the district was in several places. I remember I was talking a lot about the alignment and students moving from one building to another and having consistency in instruction and using the resources correctly. And Dr. Borthman really took that and began to really take the deep dives so that our administrators learned, our instructional coaches learned, and our teachers learned. We were doing that in the ELA, and now we're shifting that over into the mathematics. And Dr. Matthews, you've been on some of the outings.
Yes.
If you'll talk a little bit about those.
Sure. So we started this journey about a year and a half ago at the elementary level with the consultant for Bridges, for elementary math, but with our focus on Bridges for the curricular resource. And she is working very closely with our math curriculum specialist and instructional coaches at that level, providing them professional development, and then actually going into the schools and the classrooms to see the implementation and give us feedback and in-the-moment coaching as well. So we've found that to be very valuable, and we are seeing the payoffs in our preliminary MAP and ISASP results that we're excited to share with you in the future. We are now expanding that to secondary because we are really looking at that vertical coherence and how those concepts build upon each other. So we are looking to offer and extend that to the secondary levels with illustrative math and really looking at best instructional practices in mathematics with that resource as well. And this was part of our 2-year ESSER plan, so it was built in first year with elementary and then to phase in second year with secondary.
So I think also Ms. Hudak asked about, do you see this as a 1 year? Do you see this as it could continue? And I'll let you speak to that. I won't take that from you.
Yes, so this is our second year for elementary and our first year for secondary, and we would like to see the return on investment, and we will continue to look at the data and see if we are yielding the results that we would desire and expect to see from getting this type of professional development. We would expect to see student achievement results.
So we'll see.
Yep.
Guessing probably tough to do with coming out of COVID last year.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree, Troy, right? I mean, we need I just don't want to get into a habit where we have a consultant every single year, but if we have a plan that it's 2 years, 3 years, and then we work on that phase out or whatever the case may be. So that was what my question was. So thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? Mr. Wilson, please call the roll.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mr. Arthur?
Yes.
Ms. Hudak?
Yes.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Tripp?
Yes.
Mr. Kazire?
Yes.
Mr. LaFurla?
Yes, the motion has been approved. Next is, next up is a resolution for Bridges Math Unit refill kits. Is there a motion?
I can move that we approve the purchase of the refill kits to replace the consumables for the Bridges elementary math units for $103,250 as presented.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Mr. Wilson, please call the roll.
Ms. Hudak?
Yes.
Mr. Tripp?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Arthur?
Yes.
Mr. Kazire?
Yes.
Mr. LaFurla?
Yes, the motion carries. The last resolution is for a vehicle and equipment maintenance agreement with the City of Council Bluffs. Is there a motion?
Yeah, I move to approve the 4-year contract from April 11th, 2022 through April 11th, 2026 with the City of Council Bluffs for vehicle and equipment maintenance as presented.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, 43%
Yeah.
surcharge
Of the
seems
cost.
quite a lot. I mean, you're paying, that's on top of material and labor? And
Or is
then
it on
extra-
top of materials?
That's on top of materials.
Okay, so just on top of
That's the
materials.
labor cost.
So that's the labor cost, is they're charging 43% of the material cost?
Right.
Is that pretty normal? I didn't know if we bid that out anywhere, and if that's the best that we can get, totally understandable, but
I'm
Yeah,
guessing.
we've had a partnership with the City of Council Bluffs for the last, since I've been here at least. And this is kind of a standard agreement that we came up with regarding the labor rate, because labor rates do change, obviously. We do get our gasoline at their cost, though, too. And that we are getting the parts at cost as well. So, yeah, the labor rate may seem a little high, but we are getting other things at cost.
We've generally been happy.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Another question I had, payments due within 10 days or a 2% surcharge, is that anything we've ever run into with our cash conversion cycle?
No.
No, we've never had a late payment. Okay, that's fine.
No.
And then lastly, in the end of that contract, there's an indemnification agreement. The school's accepting liability for the city's labor. Is there a reason we're doing that? If they're fixing something, why are we saying, yeah, if you fixed it wrong, the wheel falls off or whatever, why are we
Tell
accepting
somebody.
fault for that?
That's a very good question.
And I don't,
That's a very good question.
I don't think we should accept liability for their workmanship because we don't have any control over it.
Oh, I
Yeah,
mean,
I agree.
it's a great call out, Jared. Yeah.
It just seemed like a really odd provision.
It does, and it talks about, as a result of the performance of the service. And that's where you're honing in on those.
Right, so if they
Yeah.
do a drive shaft repair and the drive shaft falls off and it causes an injury behind us or something, we're on the hook for that.
Yeah, I would like to.
I'm assuming that's against willful negligence or something where they've,
I don't know, I
It
think.
paints a pretty broad.
That's not-
provision
yeah.
that says, we will indemnify you
Yeah.
and defend. So
And I would like to see the board go ahead and pull this and let us dig into that. That's a good catch, Mr. Tripp. So,
So we move to table
yes, please.
this agenda item until the June.
Yeah, I'll have Emily go over this and take care of it.
Second.
Perfect, thank you.
Help me out, Dave.
So we had a motion to table. We have a second, so now would have discussion. And,
Okay.
and then the vote would
Be to table.
table.
Okay.
And then when we would return, we would have a resolution that would remove from the table so that we would be able to deal with the resolution.
Okay. So, any discussion on the motion to table? Mr. Wilson, please call the roll.
Okay, Ms. Hudak?
Yes.
Mr. Kazire?
Yes.
Mr. Tripp?
yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Arthur?
Yeah.
Mr. LaFleur?
Yes. And so I don't need to do anything else on the
That's good.
initial resolution.
Nope, you're good.
Thank you. Next is approval of our consent agenda, which includes the Panorama staff and student surveys, SysAid renewal, Securely renewal, annual support renewal of Ruckus Cloud Path, Adobe license renewal, 5-star data warehouse renewal, approval of special education contracts, personnel action, and claims and accounts. Is there a motion?
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
What happened at TJ that we had 7 assistant football coaches quit?
New head coach?
And why is there 7 assistant football coaches? It seems a little heavy.
New head coach.
Well,
Is that why?
well, no,
Yeah,
they're
okay.
splitting some of the salaries.
Yeah.
So they're given so many salaries, and they can split that salary in half and pay for 2. And it is a new head coach, and he's building his own staff, and he is sharing the stipend. Is it a stipend, Mr. Milborn, we call it? Yes, a coaching stipend. And they do have the right to share those stipends or pay one person full. So it's his,
So he gets X dollars, and if he wants to spread it
Yes.
between 15 people, he can.
there you go. Perfect. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Mr. Wilson, please call the roll.
Mr. Arthur?
Yes.
Mr. Kazire?
Yes.
Mr. Tripp?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Ms. Hudak?
Yes.
Mr. LaFleur?
Yes, and the consent agenda has been approved. And now we have a resolution to go into closed session. Is there a motion?
I move that we move back into closed session.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Maybe just to point out that the closed session is provided in the open meetings law to conduct an evaluation of an individual. And that individual has requested a closed session. Mr. Wilson, please call the roll.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mr. Tripp?
Yes.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Ms. Hudak?
Yes.
Mr. Arthur?
Yes.
Mr. Kazire?
Yes.
Mr. LaFurla?
Yes, the motion has been approved, and we will move into closed session in the conference room.